A familiar face in Vermont politics wants her old job back. Former Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray announced her bid for the state's second in command this morning. The Democrat served as lieutenant governor from 2020 to 2022, but ran unsuccessfully for Congress in 2022. Since then, she served as the executive director of the Vermont Afghan Alliance. Surrounded by supporters today, Gray says she's running to improve the cost of living and job opportunities for working Vermonters, parents, and immigrants.
I will fiercely support our legislature in their focus on what matters most: building more housing, lowering costs, strengthening public schools while tackling cost drivers, and making sure every Vermonter can access a good job with a livable wage that allows you to stay in this state.
She also vowed to push back on the Trump administration's immigration agenda. Channel 3 News confirms Gray could have a primary challenger. Ryan McLaren tells us he's seriously considering a run. He was a longtime staffer with Senator Peter Welch until stepping away from the job last month to focus on a potential run. Current Republican Lieutenant Governor John Rogers is also running for re-election.